like I said, proud of the team. Felt good to play back in conference. We talked this week about, there's no excuses. Everybody's got a job to do, and they did it well. Defensively, that's what I envision it looking like. Okay, hold them, 30 yards rushing. Get some sacks, get some turnovers. All right, it's a good job there. So real proud of our defense, Coach Partridge in the defense. Proud of Coach Bannon in the offense from the standpoint of just controlling the line of scrimmage. Being able to just line up with some simple stuff and push people around, and backs running hard. We're proud of Jace. He added to it legs today, 15 rushes for 120 yards, longs of 50. So that was a big deal for us. Tommy. Tommy runs hard like that every day. We think Tommy will get better the more he plays, and let's get some experience back there. Chris chipped in some too. Bryce, 7 catches for 135 yards. Nobody deserves it more than Bryce Bailey. He's worked his tail off. He waited his turn. Every time I see him make a play, it just kind of makes me smile. And not only does it help the team, but like I said, he deserves it with the amount of work he's put into this.
And Coach, down probably your top 2 running backs heading into the season, still rushed for 243. Not only the running backs, but your offensive line held up so much better today.
Just starts with Josiah, just what a leader he is, and so smart, and just really does some great things for us. And and Bowser and Delapo was in the starting. I guess this is his second start, I believe. Crouch, first start at the left guard, and Hamp at the left tackle. And then Smitty's out there grinding out too at the tight end, and a couple of Drake and Hyatt. So, like I said, it was a team win, program win. We're proud. I mean, that's a team that beat us in double overtime last year with a 14-point lead, on the road. So, knew it wasn't safe. It's unfortunate. Their quarterbacks, they had to get to the third one. That's the cruel thing about this game. I hope those guys are okay. I think a lot of Coach Took. I know it's tough and frustrating, but I'm just real happy for our coaches and our players.
Coach, I know it's only week 5, but it's felt like a huge game that you needed for that locker room. Not only it's league play, it's a rival, it's a game you guys needed for you guys to respond when everything could have been against you after 4 grueling weeks.
It just makes next week fun. Got to go on the road, play a good Lindenwood team. But no, you could tell the excitement in that locker room. That's a month of frustration built up. I knew we were better than what we were playing. I get it, the talent level we were playing against, but the execution wasn't there. We were letting. Sometimes when guys are faster and in some positions and stuff, you can kind of lose the details of things because of the amount of pressure they put on you with their speed of the routes or the rush and stuff like that. And you got to go, first things first. And so, but regardless, can't go backwards, only go forward. 1-0 in the conference, and ready to go to Monday's practice.
Coach, how's the O-line coming together like it did affect your play calling as well as your stuff?
No, it's fun to call games out there. I mean, we got in that unbalance, and you could have called those. It's been like, you only got 3 runs, Coach, which one you want, what order. And that's good, the style of defense they were playing. We had practiced a lot of other stuff, and they decided to play the odd instead of the 4 down, 11 personnel. And so that was one of those deals where, they were not going, that defense is designed for you not to run it. And those boxes are full. And so, no, we wasn't trying to be, it was run, take a shot, run, that's just the way they force us, throughout the game. And when you're having success, you're eating the clock up, and the defense is getting the ball back for you, wasn't worried about, 300 yards passing. We just were going to do what we had to do to get the win. And so anyway, proud of the offensive line, Coach Bannon and Coach Stout.
I want to get back to your defense. Your real bounce back game from the defensive backfield standpoint. How do you feel them coming together and making plays affects your defense?
Well, no, it was better. Last week wasn't very good. Wasn't good enough against quality players. Don't get me wrong. the height, the speeds, it's different than the guys that were running around, last week. But regardless, that we were in the spots, we pressured the quarterback well. That makes DB's job, a little bit easier. So, but no, those two safeties take a lot of pride. Josh Hastings and Jacob, they compete. They take a lot of pride. I mean, there's some big hits out there tonight from that safety spot. So we need those guys to play well. They kind of set the tempo for us, and and I saw several corners chip in tonight. I think we played four or five guys at the corner spot.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.